Welcome to my channel Tools for Ascension by Wolfgang, and this is Wolfgang, and this is Kirstie. And today we will be talking about family curses, how they affect you, and what different types are there, and we were going to be clearing them too. So of course it's going to be a shotgun meditation. We cannot go into anything individually for you, but this should pack a punch and put you on the right path and let you know whether you have stuff there. But first of all, Kirstie, can you explain to us, what kind of work you do?
Lots of multi-dimensional healing, and from many different levels. I work with the Arcturian Council, the Syrian Council, lots of dragons. And my sessions are very intuitive, so whatever is for the greatest and highest expression of the individual. Just a deep dives, and lots of light language and light codes come through my channel. So all on, say, from the Hopi realm to the realm of the all. It depends on the individual, but yeah, there's no limit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can attest to this. Kirstie is an excellent seer. And in case you're not familiar with me, if you're new to this channel, well, I'm an old fart, turning 72 now. I've been doing this kind of work, since I finished my studies in fine art and philosophy. I've given up my career, lived in India, studied all the different techniques, were on all the New Age shows, tried everything, and here we go. So yeah, my forte is, making sure people stay connected, or get connected with Source or their highest self, and then I ask questions. Instead of telling people, what's going on, I rather have them, realize themselves what's going on, much more potency, hear it from themselves, empower them, and so on. And of course, you always learn, if you ask the right questions and you have the right person up there, and that's why we have Kirstie here. Mm-hmm. So I will ask a lot of questions, mostly for your benefit. Doesn't mean I don't know the answers to this, but you never know what comes out. Many times there's something new. That's what we're going for. So first of all, Kirstie, what are family curses? Compared to normal curses on you.
Family curses are curses that have been passed down through the family lineage, and quite often it is affecting people without them knowing, quite often in all areas of their lives. And so it's the knowledge in this that is going to be very helpful, because sometimes it can feel like you're on a hamster wheel going around and around and around. And there's other resources here to help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. We may be spending a lot of time clearing our own stuff and never consider family, and a lot of stuff comes over from this. You will be amazed. Now, does your high self make a distinction between family and ancestor, or is this pretty much all the same?
It's all the same.
Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. So, and if you have like an average, let's say, American, mm-hmm. So of all the bad karma, it's, or obstacles, from curses that's on them, how much would be in average coming from ancestors, and how much is earned maybe in personal past incarnations?
60% would be family.
Yeah, so this is more than your own stuff, and I have seen extreme cases where our ancestors were slavers, and warmongers, and a lot of bad karma. The person individually has nothing to do with this. Okay, so, and What are the different types of curses that are being, put onto families?
There's spells, cruxes, pendulums, to name a few, potions,
Okay, yeah.
sabotage.
Okay, so of course, right now these are words, and we just might fill them in with our own, let's say, interpretation. So let's just sort it by, what are most people affected with the worst, right? So let's start with the worst. So what's the worst curse on families?
Spells.
And how do spells, affect somebody? How does somebody know who this must be a spell?
It affects in their day-to-day, almost like a web that's around them that is unseen. Um, it can be through words and through thoughts.
Okay, and just give me a good example. If most people are probably affected by some kind of spells, what's the most popular spell, and how do we know we got one on us?
A popular example would be someone placed a love spell on someone to never find love, never find happiness, never find joy. And that could be very damaging. Mhm.
Yeah, I've come across this also in several cases where the love spell, was done by a Brujero, and that person constantly had to think of his wife, and his wife was already dead for 20 years.
Mhm.
But every 5 minutes, this was a love spell she had commissioned. This came through his thought. Mother Mary clearly, he kissed my hands. I mean, he was so glad. And I was also the manager of, two sons at that time, only New Age store. And our love spell, a paraphernalia book in book section was constantly being visited by women. I mean, it blew my mind. How many women, trying to do love spells. Most of the time, they're to attract another person, but it's against that person's will. And then if it works, you have a useless or meaningless relationships in most of the time, because it's being forced. Okay, so we are all affected by spells, and so spells are thoughts. So, like an angry thought, I wish you die, or I wish you bad, or this or that, do they work as spells if they become a habit?
Yes, absolutely. Your thoughts are very intelligent. Your words are very intelligent. And what people may not realize is what you speak, they're considered spells. And and this can be good and it can be bad.
Yeah, I tested this, I have my experiences. Yeah, I mean, people can break their back, if you let your anger,
Hmm.
I mean, yes. Okay, and so how can we have these spells cleared now? What is the best way?
The best way to clear spells that have been placed upon you from either someone you know or done through the family lineage is to be in a place of love. So this can be through breathing exercises, sending love to your being, and standing in your sovereignty and taking your power back.
Now, how specific do we have to be? I mean, I definitely tried very early on. Yeah, please clear all the spells and curses onto me, the source and all spirit guides. And yeah, I mean, not that much happened.
Mhm.
So, I mean, do we have to name the spell, or how close do we have to be, so that it works?
In some extreme cases, you need to do deep dives into this. But for 75%, you can be in your sovereignty and decode the spells. And so decoding is something that we're going to do. We can do this now. Um, it's it's frequency. So if you think of how we are all energetic beings, the world is all energy. We are all energy. So you can do this through visualization that any of these curses or hexes or spells or anything that's trying to affect you, knowing that you are living your life in the way that you wish to live your life, visualizing that this is at a different frequency than where you are at. And so making it so that it cannot reach you because you are at this different frequency than before. So it's a visualization exercise and also with some decoding, which is done through light codes. These light codes can be done and they're spoken right now because codes through the words, as we said, they have high impact. And so that's step one is being back in this sovereignty space. Because quite often when there is a match, they have almost like the holes that they're able to get to you, but in this way they won't be able to get to you. So with light codes, there's many different types of light codes, and there's a light code transmission that I'm going to share now that will help eradicate 75% of these issues. So if you want to just take a nice deep breath in, breathing in love. Ooh. Calling in the Arcturian Council, the Lyran Council, the Syrian Council, the Rainbow Race, dragons. Kyo. Kuyo. Kyo. Collapsing, collapsing, collapsing. Collapsing, collapsing. So visualizing a rainbow coming down all around you. Collapsing timelines of the past. Clearing the unseen. Breathing in deeply. Clearing cloaks. Clearing, 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 clearing. Stepping into your power, your greatness, your sovereignty. Kuyana, shu, shu, shu. Kiyana, shu, shu, shu. Kiyana, shu, shu, shu. Kuyana, shu, shu, shu. Kiyana, shu, shu, shu. Kuyana, shu, 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 shu. Closing all doors, seen and unseen. Locking, securing, dismantling, dissolving. So that's one way to do it.
Perfect, perfect. We're very grateful. Thank you so much. And for our listeners, of course, we already invoked protection before this broadcast, but now for you, please agree with this, for your own protection. So we ask whatever happens in this broadcast here, and from this broadcast is going to be for your highest good and is also in divine harmony with the most benevolent outcomes. Please agree to this. We will protect it. So we give sovereignty to your high self, so for security reasons. And so it is. Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Some of you may be even been crying or going to hiccups, or shaking, all kinds of strong symptoms, will be there or can be there. Or you feel a warmth in your heart area, etc., and feel lighter. Excellent. So the spells was one of the main stickers that affects families. Then what else is affecting families in terms of curses?
Things that are passed down through the lineage, a lot is unseen. A lot can be almost messages that have been often, say, 5 generations previous, can be through the bloodline.
So how would that look like, in real life for most people? What's the most common?
The most common would be layers, dark, satanic, cults, a lot, actually.
Vaults, or what did you say?
Satanic cults.
Cults. Oh, yeah, of course. So, well, of course, they create thought forms and spells, but then, there are also contracts, especially when our ancestors were part of the Satanic Council.
Mm-hmm.
Vows, where we give our power away to those dark overlords.
Mm-hmm.
And you will, and then your contracts, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
which give the dark side access to you. I'm always going to be your servants and stuff like that. You basically overpay for that little power and glory and whatever sex you had in that one lifetime. Well, first of all, there are probably a lot of those entities, of the demoniac side, riding
Mm-hmm.
on families. And so how do we know there is something like this riding on a family? Let's break it down, into more subcomponents.
So if you notice that there's a trend that, say, happened with one of or both of the family members, say your parents or your grandparents, and you notice a similar trend, that can be one sign. Another sign, a lot of times for people that are doing this work, that are on this ascension journey, they can be hit multiple times with things happening unbeknownst to them. So that could be another one um, if you're constantly feeling like something's happening, this could be considered a psychic attack, but there also can be deeper levels there to it. So that's quite often trying to disempower the healer, starseed, anybody on this journey. It's a lot of action that's being created to try and disempower. So that's a main one. If you notice that there's something like a loop or a cycle also taking place.
Yeah, how about, negative thoughts? And yeah, negative thoughts probably, are there, can there come from these dark entities?
Absolutely, yes. Dark negative thoughts are not your thoughts. They're designed to get you in your Achilles heel or in any space that hasn't been looked at. And so if something keeps being brought up and thought about, that's not you. It's something trying to get to you. So that's another example. Hmm.
How about losing energy? Would this also be part of that? That you're always wiped out, especially in
Yes,
the morning?
yes, 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 yes.
So I would say, let's do a clearing. Let's have your high self and our spirit guides do a clearing for all the type of parasites, that have been sent to us, by dark magician, or, you know, dark alien, races that try to farm humanity and control us, like a battery or like a chicken farm.
Hmm.
All these attachments, and whether they are again gargoyles or ghosts or other entities, that siphon our energies, and give us negative thought forms, discourage us from things, or you can negative self-talk, so to say, that's mostly from them.
Hmm.
So we like to have those maybe brought to the highest courts of divine justice. If they're good ones that have been taken over, give them a chance at the Arcturian Love Healing and Ascension Temples. And we asked our Ascension team that, but also then please supplement from your side. So this is not light language, this is more or less mudras, right? You're using right now.
Hmm. Yeah, and I also do tapping quite regularly too. So tapping on the shoulders and the heart center is really good to kind of get anything that's stuck.
Yeah. Tapping, massage, and of course projecting source love into those areas. They all work very well. Ooh, they're leaving now. Oh, yeah, we asked it every little bit, every baggage that they're leaving behind, those entities, like booby traps, bomb droppings, and other sabotage, barbs, hooks, wires, glass, programs, backup programs, echo programs, especially the unseen stuff, be cleared, on all levels of our being. Please run scans on all the different levels of our being. Listeners or the viewers, agree to this. So your spirit guides have permission, to do so. It's your life. We're not your mommy and daddy here. It's your life. Your sovereign being. Okay. Whew, yeah, it's still clearing here.
Also, I also want to mention I have a light language meditation specifically on energetic parasites and parasites. That was most probably one of the strongest ones I've done. I really, really felt it. So I think maybe we'll just link it. We'll link it below too for anybody that's interested.
So we have it in the subtext, and there's also a link, with all the other contact information, for Kirstie and Wolfgang. If you want to get in touch with her, the website, and the other accounts, you can go ahead. All right, do you want to do a little light language to drive any more dark beings out of us? Breathing in. Kia shu. Koya shu. Kia shu. Koya shu. Kia shu. Nyayatoya shu. Nyayatoya shu. Kia nayatoya shu. Kia nayatoya shu. Kuyana shu. Kiana ayana. Kuya aya shu. Kiana yato oshinta aya ta aya ko orunto. Kia runto shutkur shu. Shu. Nyayator. Clearing spikes. Shoo. Clearing spikes, clearing spikes, clearing spikes, clearing spikes. Kiayato yana. Kianayato yana. Shoo. Kianayato yanayato yanayata aya. Shoo. Kianayato yana. Shoo. Kianayato yana. Shoo. Kianayato yana. Shoo. Yeah, I started crying when I tuned into this. It's like coming home again. Homesick here. So much sweetness in that. Yeah. Oh. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, sometimes we curse, our family members, our loved ones, or our bosses, or the cops, or we are actually on the dark side, Machiavellian type lawyer, just taking advantage, milking it, living the yuppie lifestyle, trying to be go-getters and, playing with these kind of things, cursing, spelling, manipulating others for our own advantage. Now let's ask your high self guidance. How does this affect those people on the long run? Doing these kind of things.
In the long run, like in this life or in like
Yeah, in this lifetime, and
in this life?
then general tendency in other incarnations. Yes.
Hmm, about 50%. It's kind of like a mirror. So if you're doing that to other people, you're effectively doing it on yourself. So the more that you're doing that, the more that you'll most likely 50%, maybe more, see that kind of coming back at you.
Now, is this, how much is the delay, nowadays? Is it instantly? Is it within weeks, months, or is it mostly in another parallel lifetime?
Months and often in another lifetime. So it can be months in this life and then
Okay.
often in the other.
So now this is a question statistically, I mean, it's for us humans here, to have to find the answer for that. But a lot of people they think they're innocent, they're on the spiritual path, and then bad stuff happens to them. A lot of it is maybe volunteered for as a lesson for the soul. But then a lot of it might be karma, from themselves or from their ancestors. Now, how much of humanity's bad experiences are coming from karma?
Um, 80% is coming from karma.
Yeah. So yeah, I find this true myself. Most of the raped people, they were rapists in other lifetime. Everybody has done those things. And when becomes clear, they can be forgiven. So let's just ask, wherever we and our ancestors cursed others, that this be clear too, that our victims be cleared. Has this been taken care of, or should we do this now?
Yes, it's been taken care of.
Thank you so much. I'm just trying to be thorough, and so I mean, we also glad that you are thorough, that your high self is thorough. I mean, no offense here. Okay, so is there another category of cursing that affects the family? That statistically that's very prevalent at this time.
Um, there's a category that's affecting a lot of star seeds, and that is a false light sort of category. And it's a disempowerment program as well. And it's it's about an 80% that's affecting star seeds.
All right. So,
So yeah,
well, how are the people are being affected by these disempowerment programs in general?
they're being affected through different systems. So um, the message is to always discern, but to feel within your heart, if something doesn't feel quite right, um, even though maybe other people are doing something similar and it doesn't feel quite right, to always listen to that guidance. Because there's a lot of false light programs that are currently in the mix of of this area.
Yeah, okay. So
Mhm.
let me just take a guess here. So there would be like wrong philosophies, for instance, false philosophies. I mean, of course, there's always bickering between the different religions and philosophies. I mean, that has been part of philosophy too. Yeah, critique on Kant, critique on this philosopher and that philosopher. And so this has been going back and forth. But so, there are false philosophies, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, brainwashing, false gurus. You
Mhm.
think you are, having a light worker there or a great massage therapist, and they're implanting you with cords and sucking your life force and good luck out of you. Suddenly everything goes bad. Or
Mhm.
we even false deities, I would say. Something, you think you're talking to the Lord Jesus or to some other being, and do whatever they say. Yes, even my dog told me to kill my son, kind of a stupid thing.
A lot of false deities, yes.
Yeah, false deities, I mean, or you hear voices and you think, you're supposed to follow this because it's a voice. I mean,
Hmm.
again, yeah, you know, it's because it's a voice. If I tell you to give me $1,000, will you give me the $1,000? But because it's a voice that's without a body, suddenly you start doing stuff. Yeah, think again. So we like to have, a blanket clear, for these, this false disempowerment, that has been inherited by our ancestors, those false family traditions. you know, beat the stupid out of kids. Something like that, or whatever. Can you do some light language and, other clearing?
Yes. So take a nice deep inhale. Kiaya, kiaya, shun tukutukurun tutututututututututu shuntakaya taka ataka shutuko taka ataka sutuko taka asataka ataka taka shutukorata asata atasta satatush kiana akata ashata kia turun tututu ata tahayata kiaya toyana shindaya tukoroto shuntakaya kiana ya tukoronto taka atakata shutkoronta ka shutkoroto shuntaka ataka shuntkoronto kia tukoronto to shutkarata ta shutkoronta ta satata satata satata. Taking another deep inhale. Yana ya to oyana takaya tukoronta kaya takaya sata atoro ta satata satata sataka satukoronto to. Kiana to korunto to shunt karata satoro to shut korunto satakia takarata satata. Uyana clearing false light. Korunto koshut karata shinia takahasa takasa koroto shatakaina. Kiana to korunto kahasa takatokoroto shatkaya koroto shina ayataka asa takaroto shatkana. Kiana tapping your throat. Kiana ja to orrunta korunta korunta kahata tashinta karatoshinta kaata karatotoshinta tapping your heart center. Kiana ja to korunta toshit kiata hayata hatorunta desit korunta ja korunta shit korunta. Kuyana shu. Kiana shu. Kuyana shu. Kiana shu. Kuyana shu. Collapsing, 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 collapsing. Collapsing. Ki atoruntu koruntu shutkoruntu shutkoruntu sitik atka 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 asetka atkoruntu sutka kia hataka 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 shuntkayataka hataka shuntkoruntu kurunta sitkoruntu shutkoruntu tushintka hataka shuntkoruntu shutu. There you go.
Thank you, thank you, thank you,
Thank you.
thank you. Very graceful, very graceful. Okay, ooh, yeah, coming in. And if your hair standing on end, dear people, you have goosebumps or tingling all over the body, that's always a good omen. This means there's more chi in this area. More life force has been liberated and is flowing freely now. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. And I hope our people watching, experience similar stuff. Just keep smiling, people, so the good vibes come to you. If you're frowning, nothing of this will work and affect you. Now, there is a type of primitive magic, actually a lot of systems of dark magic, center around this ideal. I call it like voodoo doll type magic. Where you have a representation of somebody, whether it's that doll or a picture or a hair or a piece of blood, whatever it is, and whatever, through, torturing this, it's like pins and whatever, there is a resonance, to the original owner of this, so this, variations of this would be like, these are my personal terms on this because I didn't study this formally, but, I got across it through past life regression, so I have things like mummy magic, where like runes and other things are inscribed on, bones, or bone magic, of the body, dead body of people. And their mummies, there's also headhunter magic, I call it, actually that headhunter use, and they use the skulls of, those hunted, as let's say lightning rod for dark energy, all the karma goes to their victims. And, there are all kinds of others, implantations, of thought forms, spikes, visualizations of wings and other impediments. How much is humanity, affected, negatively affected by that stuff in general?
80%.
Yeah, it's a lot. What I've seen, it's a lot, and it's very simple. And can we have a clearing for this, pretty please? And again, you're watching this. Give permission. That this is going to be working for you for the highest good. And we also give permission where we and our ancestors did this type of magic. To have this clear too from the victims. So.
Taking a nice deep inhale. Kuyana, kiyana yato, yana yato, yana. Kiyo, ishu. Kiyo, hiyo, shu, ku, yo, 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 shu. Kiyo, shu. Tapping the top of your crown. Ku. Releasing, 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 releasing. Kuyanaya oi shanta, ko shanta, kiyoshu, Kiyoshu. Kiyoshu. Kiyanayashu. Urnya ata, taata, taata, tosan, takataka, ataka, 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 sutuk. Ataka, 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 Shutukutukurun, takatakara, toshin, takaya, tukoroto, shutakaya, tukoroto, shutukoroto, tukoroto, shutukoroto, shutukoroto, shutukoroto. Sometimes the notes don't come through over Zoom, but the energy is still reaching you. Collapsing, 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 collapsing. Kiayato ocean to corunto, shutucorunto, sutucorunto. Kiayato orunto, toshin to gayata, ayata, 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 gaya, toshin to ayata, gaya. Shoo, shoo. There you go.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
So while this is going on, last time and before we did this podcast, of course we worked on each other, and you mentioned psyops. And so psyop, black magic on ourselves and our ancestors, or from ourselves and our ancestors. So can you please explain, what psyops are?
PSYOPs are programming, a multi-dimensional programming that can interfere in all aspects of life. False deities and such are considered a PSYOPs. Infiltration and backdoor mechanisms, quite often you may not realize at the time, but it is almost like a hijacking that is able to infiltrate without the host knowing.
Okay. So basically it's deception.
Mm.
Doing contacts and being explained, why this is, oh yeah, do this ceremony with me and you're going to be psychic, but you're going to be implanted with a cord that sucks you dry, stuff like that. So can you do some light, and these things seem to be overlapping, of course. So could you do some light language, to clear these types of deception programs, that are still affecting us, whether they are vows that we did, or contacts that we did, or permission that we gave, due to being misled. If you would have known the price we have to pay or what really happens, we wouldn't have done it, Or we just were stupid or greedy or the sexual, ecstasy or whatever it was, So please go ahead.
So, Kia takaya tokoroto sitiata ayana tata ayana tutatututushun tokoroto kiana yata ayana tutoshun tutoshun. Tapping your ears. Kuyana shu 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 kiana shu 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 kiana shu kiana. The base of your spine, tapping the base of your spine. Kuyana shu kiana to orun to orun takaya takaratosh takaya takaratosh takaya takaratosh tokorotosh. Kiana tokorun to totorun to totorun to totorun takaya taka ashun tokorun. Kiana aya tosh takaratos tokorotosh tokorotosh tokoroto. Collapsing, shoo, collapsing, collapsing, shoo, shoo. Grounding, 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 shoo, shoo. Nyaya to, nyatae torun, tatotoshin takaya, tatatash, tatotoshin takaya, toshin takoroto. Kia tae torun, tokotorun, totosh, tokoron, ata torun, shintakaroto, sunta, shoo. Closing, shoo, closing, shoo, closing, shoo, closing, shoo, closing, shoo. Niayato, shintakaya toronto, toshintakaya toshintakata. Diana toronto, tapping your heart center. Kia nayato koruntaka hata hata hata, shoo. Kia hata hata hata, shoo. Kia na hata shutukorunto. Kiana tokorunto kotoko untak ataka 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 shunt korunto ataka tato shunt ayataka atata shunt korunto kuruntik aya tokorunto kunt korunto kunt korunto kat 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 korunto shunt kayata. Kiana korunto 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 kat korunto korunto toshunt kayata. Kiana korunto shut korunto kot korunto kot korunto kot korunto kot korunto shunta. Releasing, 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 releasing. Shoo. Kiayato, shoo. Miayato, shoo. Kiana atorunto korunta hasanta katorunto korunto shunt korunto shunt korunto. Ki hanta torunto shunt korunto torunto korunta shunt karata tasitikiana. Kiana torunto shunt korunta. Taking a nice deep inhale. Sending love down to your feet, the left one, then the right one. And down into the earth. Kiana torunto shtukurunto shtukurunto ayata ata torunto shtukurunto santak ataka 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 kiana ataka atukosantaka ataka shtukurunto 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 shtukurata satakaya totosat aya shu tiata torunto korunto 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 shintakaya takarata shtukurunto shtukunka inka torunta sit inka toshintak aya toshinta. Clearing, 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 clearing. Clearing the spine, clearing the nervous system, clearing the astral, the etheric bodies. Uyana, niaya to yana, Miayato yana shu. Kiata to sunt ataka hataka 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 shunt kotaka stata. Kiata ya torunto 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 kayata. Kiana atorunto torunto korunto 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 shunto. Shu.
Puh.
Kiayato yana. Clearing cloaks. Clearing cloaks. Ja torunto shtukorotta sintikiata hata shunt kotkoroto. And we're done. That one was a big one.
Yeah, and by the way, Kirstie was using a selenite, very good for this type of work, They pull out darkness really well, Also, black tourmaline is also really good for that. Very, very good. Okay, I think there's one more category of family spells and curses. We worked on potions, where basically it seems to be a combination of, it seems to be alchemy, where we, combine the physical with, with astral or finer material and have an entanglement. So, does this affect a lot of people, potions? And, how were they, first of all, administered in general?
It affects quite a few people. Mostly administered previous lifetimes and in the etheric realms. In the etheric realms.
And so how do potions affect us? I mean, how do we suspect or know these were potions and not something else? What's the difference between a potion and a curse, for instance?
A curse is a spoken thought form. Potion is an entanglement in quite often, well, in the system, in the chakra system, poison, and it can be a time capsule release, so it just keeps releasing, just every so often, releasing. So it can be a culprit for different things. But for whatever that potion was made for.
So what's statistically the most common, potion that has been used in past times on light workers now?
I'm not getting an answer.
It's probably too complicated, too variegated. And okay, so probably with a lot of potions, water is involved that has been programmed. Is that correct?
Yes.
So I would say the crystal water dragons can come in very handy here, right?
Yes.
So, we asked on them, and whoever else is qualified, like the ultraviolet dragons, and whatever, people you call in there, high self, light language, to clear all the dark potions that's still affecting us, and our ancestors, and where our ancestors and us affected others in a dark way. And those that are trapped to dark potions, we also like to have those liberated, after proper forgiveness. So go ahead.
Uyanna, kianna, koyanna, kianna, koyanna, kianna, kurr. Kyo, nyaya, 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 kurr. Kyo, nyaya, turun, turun, turun. Tapping your solar plexus. Kia ta aya ta aya ta aya ta oya ta aya ta ata to toshin ta kaya ta ata ta toshin ta kaya ta asa ta kora ta sin ta ka ashin ta kara toshin ta kara toshin ta kara toshin ta kara tia ata shin ta koronta shin ta ka hata ka to korota ka shit kia ta 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 shin ta shun ta karanta shit koronta shit koronta shin ta ata ka Arcturian Council. Kiana tuku otuku 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 shuntuk ataka tohoto hoto tahata shuntuk ataka huntuk ataka shuntuk hota sutaka ataka sutkorota shutkarata sutta releasing tiata tiata toyana ata to suntuk ataka tokorunto toroto shuntuk ataka sutikiata shu Niaya to yana shu niaya to yana shu niaya to yana shu kiaya to niaya to atka to shuntka kiasatak atukoruntka hasata hatasata hasata shu niaya to shuntka suntu kiyo tonta tahanta tahanta kianta tahata turun. Visualizing a rainbow waterfall coming down all around you, down through the top of your crown, through your chakra system. Releasing, 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 releasing. Releasing, 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 releasing. Nyaya to orun tukut korun tukut korun tukut korun tukut korun tukut atka kiantak atkorun tukut korun tukash tukurun tushin tuk atka rutto tushin tuk ataka tushin tuk atka rutto to tushin tuk aya to dissolving, 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 dissolving. Dissolving, 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 dissolving. Yeah, collapsing, 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 collapsing. In the etheric realm, astral realm. Closing, 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 closing. Here we go. That's
Awesome.
great.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And floating here about. Okay, so thank you so much. Thank you, Heiser and team, so much. For so many people, this is going to be quite a shortcut, quite a blessing, listening to this and getting the purification. Is there something else? Is there another type of, curse on families and ancestors that are still affecting us that your high self would like to have cleared?
Yes. Walls.
And the
So
wall, yeah, go ahead. What are those walls?
walls are walls that have been put in place to not have, say, connection to their highest selves, or to block people that are on their path. This is a type of false programming, an artificial inorganic substance that is also in line with what we're sharing, but it's something that's been put in place by darker energies that are trying to block people on their awakening path, on their journey. And it is happening to a lot of people.
Yeah, so when you look at humanity, let's start at Egyptian time, that. So where for humanity right now do most of the walls come from that still affect individuals and families, from the past or from present time?
Present time.
And so this is technologies, let's say all kinds of technologies, that make this so prevalent. What is the explanation that's mostly present time walls?
It's a technology built in plasmic origins.
Yeah. So it's a physics that humanity knows rather little about, or there's not that much public about. Plasma physics. It's like rotational physics, some not that much explored officially. So it's done through technology, and I mean, who is responsible? Is it Kabbalah or the Grays, or who is mostly responsible for that?
Draconians. Anunnaki.
Dark Anunnaki, right?
Mm-hmm.
And is it legal or is it illegal?
Illegal.
Illegal. So it's not part of the contract for 3-day testing on, nothing like that.
Nope.
Purely invasive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we asked, for the highest divine spiritual forces, especially our heavy hitters, the different dragons, that are of love and light, that are not infiltrated in any way by the dark. We asked them, and of course Source, to handle these transgressions, especially at the time of ascension, that will affect so many realms. Amen. Amen. Make a sound.
Uyana. Kurr. Atusn. Kiata aturn und 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 hat turn hat kohnt und kos ata. Releasing, 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 releasing. Releasing, 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 releasing. Niayatu yamna. Niayatu yamna. Kia to honta, hanta, 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 shunto honta, kion to honta, tonta, sunta, shun.
And the walls came down all the way from hell. And that's a Tweeter and the Monkey Man. It's a song from the Traveling Wheelbarrows. Very appropriate right now. And if anybody tries to build any more walls, take them to the courts of divine justice, disassemble, also the leftovers from those walls. And whatever was held back, by those frequency walls is actually generally frequency mismatches. Yeah, we like to have, then the transitions, done nice and sweetly in an ecstatic way, not, traumatic. Everybody smiles so the good stuff can actually come into you. Remember, smiling means you're tuned to your higher mind. You want to stay away from frowning your lower mind. Not a good place to be. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
That was fun.
Healing is always fun. It's supposed to be. It's not like church.
It's always fun, but that was really fun.
Yeah, a lot of, that's why I like to work from my inner child's point of view. They're the most fun, there's not so much ego there, or like, for me, like male, showing off kind of macho stuff. We gotta be careful, not to have our lower nature take over. Very much appreciated. So, what does your higher self say? What can our listeners expect from this here?
Oh, many layers dismantled. Um, Probably like feeling like you're on cloud nine. I'd say floating on a cloud. Um, listen to your body. Maybe some might have more energy, some might have a little less. Just listen to what feels good for you, but you'll feel a lot lighter.
Yeah, definitely no driving right now. You space case number one. Drink a lot of water. Don't go to heavy metal concerts right now. I mean, or fighting match or something like that. Stay in the high vibration, stay refined. Any last messages from your high self, to the listeners here?
The advice that I get daily, and I'm going to share, um, is just to keep sending yourself love. Doing this a few times a day becomes a habit, and then you'll notice a lot of it's something that I have like a sticky note on, and now I do it quite frequently, is to keep sending love to your heart.
Okay. Now, how do you do this best? Stay in front of the mirror and, and project love onto you. Or, what does your high self suggest, is the best method for?
Well, if you can send love to Mother Gaia down into the earth and breathe up love through Mother Gaia, and also just breathing in source love, unconditional love through your heart, because the air is a convoluted space. And when you are thinking about what you're breathing in, you have that choice of that power that you're creating, and you're choosing to breathe in love as opposed to just whatever it is that's in that air. So it's always to breathe in the air, breathe that into your heart, and you'll be breathing in that love oxygen.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The perception is by intent, and also receiving energy is by intent. So if I intend to breathe in love, yeah, it's gonna come in if you smile.
Mm-hmm.
If you intend to send the love with a smile, it's gonna happen. If you intend a halo and start visualizing a halo, use your imagination,
Mm-hmm.
that people will, get a little halo and feel good about you, the person sending the halo. I've made experiments like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much. And so you, of course, you accept clients, you
Mm-hmm.
teach. So what kind of clients do you look for? What's your ideal client?
Um, my ideal client is that they want to grow, that they know that, maybe there's some things that to let go of, but they have that place where they're ready to let go. And also curious, like um, curious is the best place to be. And knowing what comes up in sessions is what's for the greatest and highest expression of the client. And just always bringing, like you said, your inner child. And so my mission is to help all those on their awakening journey to quantum leap onto their highest timeline. So, like mountains can be moved through that way. So that's how I operate. Um, by moving up many, many timelines, you got to release some things too. So it's all about, you know, being from the heart and following your purpose. Those are my type of clients that ready to live their life full of purpose. So, if you feel stuck in any way, we did quite a lot of work today here because this is something that's been affecting the Starseed community quite a bit. So yeah, that's that's my message in a bottle.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, it's very, similar to my mission. And also, my main objective is, show my clients the ropes, see how you get love from the earth, how to get love from source, how to send love to beings and build a loving community, of supporters and helpers, on the other realms.
Mhm.
Love everybody, that's good Christendom as such. And then, start doing the work, clearing the baggage, what, clouds our connection with source, with our own divine guidance, and that hinders, our path, overcome thousands of years of trauma, dark programming, and so on. It's definitely, I align with this, and that's why I'm aligning with you. So, your disciples are very serious, very sincere, I find, so that speaks for you. And they speak very highly of you, I have to say.
Thank
Not
you.
only, you talk, but you also walk, your path. They have seen you sneaking off, doing ceremony on your own, very impressed.
Mm.
So the sincerity of your spirit, of your incarnation, I respect that.
Thank you.
So information, contact information, for her or for me, these are below. We love you long time.
Thank you.